Greetings, happy Sunday, and happy Easter if you celebrate.
What?
Let me interject for a second. This video was an easy project I thought of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and it should have been live about a week ago, but I got a little sidelined with some commission projects and an injury or two. I burnt my arm on my heat gun, so I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt right now so I don't gross anybody out. But we're here now, and this video will hopefully enlighten you with some inspiration and ideas and tips that will help you create your own piece, whether it be this subject and shape or your own idea. The techniques that I demonstrate in this video are not restricted to this particular design or shape. You can apply them to lots of different shapes. I also want to make you aware that I have a queue of about 5 more videos in the works of techniques and seasonal projects, and hopefully those will stay on track and they will get done in time for you to enjoy them and make use of them before the season or festive holiday that they correlate with. So, back to her. My name is Renee, and welcome back to my channel, Created by Renee. This project was inspired by spring, by Easter, and by this empty bottle. I saw this empty bottle and I immediately saw something else it could become. Today I wanted to hop on here and share what I created from that bottle, how I did it, and how you can create something similar. So stay tuned to see what this bottle became and a few of my do's and don'ts along the way. So let's get started. For starters, I have this beautifully shaped empty plastic bottle that someone saved for me. I peeled the label off so that you can see I'm adding sand to create weight. If you don't have sand, you can always use river stones or something similar. Of course, adding weight is optional, but since paper mache tends to dry relatively lightweight, you might want to consider it. Now a quick sketch of the form that we're going to be creating. Can you see how I pictured this over that shape? To build up this rabbit shape, I'm going to be using my paper mache pulp to sculpt it over this bottle. But before I do that, I'm going to create some ears. Here's a scrap of regular cardboard that I've cut into 2 pieces, which I will gauge in size against the size of the bottle. Once I'm happy with the shape and size, I go ahead and cut out the second ear. While I'm doing this, I did want to take a moment to say that in spite of the trial and error that often goes into these videos, I really do enjoy filming my process and editing it and sharing it. It's like yet another phase or another addition to the creative process that I do enjoy. So I hope someone else is getting something out of this. Now I've covered the entire surface of each ear with masking tape. This is to prevent the ears from collapsing from the moisture when I start to apply paper mache. Next, I'll be attaching the ears to the bottle with my trusty cordless hot glue gun. Yes, it's a beast. Yes, it's about the length of my arm, but it does the job. I'll apply ample amounts of glue to stick both ears onto the top of the bottle, then hold the ears and just try to be patient and wait. Now that the glue is cooled and hardened, I can apply masking tape to cover the entire situation before I proceed with paper mache. For the sake of precision and ease, I'm going to be using the paper strip method for the ears. If anyone ever tells you that you can't combine the paper mache strip method with paper pulp, refer them to me. Once we finish covering and securing the ears and the entire top of this piece in the paper strip method, then we can proceed to applying the paper pulp. If you haven't yet seen it or need a refresher, I put a link to my video demonstrating how I make my paper mache pulp in the description. If you're new to this is paper mache pulp. My version includes just paper, water, and white glue. Again, you can find more information at the link in description. And now I'm just going to proceed to cover this entire form in the paper mache pulp. So, incidentally, my battery died, so I won't be able to show you the process of, just kidding. I was able to finish one side, so now you can see the shape I'm going for, and on the other side you can see how I'm going to create it. I did want to note that I tried to start with a slightly drier pulp so that it would be easier to apply to this form and to get it to stick and to start shaping it. Now that I've covered the form almost completely in paper pulp, I'm going to want to smooth the pulp together. And to do that, I'm going to use my slip, which is basically the same glue and water mixture that I dip paper strips into when I'm doing the layering method. It's used the same way a ceramicist uses clay slip to smooth pottery. You use the glue and water mixture to smooth the paper pulp. At the same time, I go ahead and start working in my details. You may notice I'm taking care to smooth and blend the pulp into the strip paper area on the ears. You can use tools here if you like, but since it's not fine detail, I'm just using my fingers. They work perfectly fine. And I'm loving the way this is turning out. The bottle shape was so conducive to this, and I'm happy I decided to try this out. Don't forget, you can use these techniques for lots of other shapes and projects. Just use a little imagination. So, some specifics on my slip. I just want to make it clear that the slip is just water and white glue. And all I do is mix them about to the consistency of heavy cream. And then I just use it to smooth the paper mache pulp. After one final round of smoothing and shaping, we arrive at this. And now, if you wanted to, at this stage, you could use tools to apply a texture to sort of create maybe a fur or some other texture that you desire. It's up to you. But since I'm going for something smooth, I'm just going to go ahead and try to get this thing dry so we can finish this video. Here's where things went awry. This is my old hair dryer, and I'm using it on the low setting to try to help the drying process along. Not shown is where I gave up on the hair dryer and turned to my very hot heat to see if I could get this pulp dry. The surface of the pulp ended up being a little drier, but the pulp itself is still not hardened, still not cured, but we're proceeding anyway. Normally, finishing pulp with a top layer of brown paper turns out beautifully. When you apply it to a fully hardened, fully dried pulp surface, you get beautiful results. It creates a smoother surface that requires less sanding to achieve uniformity. A layer of strip paper mache is not a mandatory final step on paper mache pulp. You can fully go forward and paint and decorate this just as pulp. But if you choose to apply a layer of strip paper mache as a final step, you want to wait till the pulp is fully dry, because the pulp will continue to shrink and dry as the water evaporates from it. It will shrink and you will end up with a mushy, hollow shape. So don't do like I did. I was trying to rush this video through and I ended up with not so desirable results. But I've done this before with beautiful results, so I highly recommend, if you're going to do this final layer of strip paper, that you wait until your pulp shape is dry. With that step complete, I'm going to add a piece of cardboard to the bottom to stabilize this piece. I'm just gluing it to the bottom and allowing it to dry along with the rest of this paper pulp. Once it's dry enough, I'm going to go ahead and trim the edges and then proceed to apply more strip paper to seal it all together. You can use other types of paper for the strip layering method. You could use newspaper or whatever type of paper that you can get your hands onto that you can dip and layer onto a surface. You don't have to use brown packing paper. This is just paper that I've salvaged and saved for these types of projects. Now that the surface has dried, I can demonstrate to you what happens when you apply the strip method on top of undried paper mache pulp. There shouldn't be any give once paper mache dries. It should dry hard and sturdy. Moving on, let's take a look at where we started, and let's move forward with some paint. To finish this piece, I've chosen a quick, easy two-color distressed effect, which involves applying a solid coat of metallic antique copper and a dry brushed top coat of lavender sachet. So I dry brushed the lavender top coat onto the metallic copper, and I add and subtract until I am satisfied with the distressed look, using a damp cloth and my dry brush. And this is the result. I enjoy creating this piece enough that I'm going to go back and recreate it the right way. In the meantime, stay tuned for more. Oh, the back was not painted because I knew I was going to do this. What? It's almost intact in there. This is crazy. Might work out better than I expected. Are you seeing this? I'm so excited. The only place that I do not plan to remove the paper from is the ears. If this doesn't come all the way off the way I want it to, then I could just pull this pulp off and throw it back into the bucket and re-wet it that way, and then just sculpt it over from scratch. This can go into the pulp bucket. That's going to be repulped, and the bunny's going to be reincarnated. So no fear, he'll be fine.